Good evening and welcome to the City of Boynton Beach City Commission meeting today, Tuesday, May 4th, 2021 at 5:32 p.m. May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Stephen B. Grant,
Present.
Vice Mayor Typin Serga,
Here.
Commissioner Justin Katz,
Here.
Commissioner Woodrow L. Hay, Commissioner Hay.
Yeah.
I see. And Commissioner Christina Romulus.
Thank you. Do we have a Rabbi Dr. Solomon Rothstein available for the invocation?
Mayor Grant, I did not see him a few minutes ago in the attendees list.
If not, would someone else like to provide us with the invocation? All right.
I will.
Thank you.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you once again for another opportunity to come before the citizens and this wonderful place that we live. We invite your presence into this meeting tonight. We pray that all the decisions that we make will be for the benefit of the great city of Boynton Beach and its citizens. We ask now that you bless all the commissioners and mayor and their families. Pray for their health and for their strength. We pray for this city and the state and this nation when it comes to COVID-19. We want to thank you for your many blessings. We pray for this nation as a whole with all the things that are going on. We can do better and we must do better. We thank you for the many opportunities that we have for. We know that this is national, well, we will get into those later on, but this is a great time to be alive. And we just pray that we will support one another. We pray that we will be level-headed as we make major decisions that will affect us all. We ask it all in our Savior's name we pray. Let every heart say amen.
Amen. Commissioner Romulus, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on to agenda approval, I'd like to add on for 5B a request to spend my community support funds and to remove 8A from the agenda. If there's no further comments or additions, deletions, or corrections.
Mayor.
Yes.
I would like to add a discussion regarding the dissolution of the Quantum Park Overlay Dependent District. And I'd also like to receive, and this is all of our future agenda items, I'd like to receive an update regarding cultural programming and the process by which one utilizes our venues.
Okay. So dissolve QPOD, and you're stating how do someone use all of our new facilities or current facilities?
Our new facilities, so I'm specifically thinking of the Women's Club,
Okay.
and as well as our new Arts and Cultural Center.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
You requested to remove 8A from the agenda entirely?
That is correct.
Was that?
We are waiting from an answer from the Department of Economic Opportunity to bring that back, and that could take a few weeks, could take a few months. So rather than it having tabled just on the agenda, been requested by staff to have it removed from the agenda.
Okay, so that came from staff?
And from legal, yes.
Yes, sir. Commissioner, that came from staff at the last commission meeting. Ed Breeze did note that at the very end of the agenda, that it would not be back until after the state looked at it.
Gotcha.
It just carried forward as a matter of course on the agenda. Just the motion made by the, or the indication by the mayor is just to remove it for now. It'll come back on in the future.
Gotcha. Thank you all for jogging my memory, and thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Romulus? Is your green light on?
Thank you. I'd like to add a discussion about the selection of the vice mayor role.
Do you want to have that now or?
Yes, I would like to add it for new tonight.
Okay. Does the commission have any disagreement for that discussion?
I tend to favor the future agenda item. Is there an urgent need at this moment to put it on tonight?
Yes, I simply want to have the discussion regarding the fact that we are within the bi-year where there was no election that occurred in March. And so therefore, without any commission action, the vice mayor role would continue up until March of 22.
And I agree with Commissioner Romulus. So if we have another person from the commission, we'll have consensus to move forward with that at tonight's meeting.
Yes, I'll support this discussion.
Okay, thank
So
you.
do I. Thank you.
Mayor. All right. All right. So we're adding 5B community support funds to the F. Malcolm Cunningham Senior Bar Association, removing 8A, adding 11B, discussion on vice mayor, and adding for future agenda, dissolving of the Quantum Park Overlay Development District, and how does the public use city facilities?
Mayor, can we go ahead and add one more discretionary fund expenditure since we're on it?
Absolutely.
If we could go ahead and add the remainder of my discretionary funds to the EJS project for this evening, I would appreciate that.
And Mayor, may I just say that those are once approved by the commission, just obviously subject to the appropriate documentation and paperwork to be submitted and filled out. And we'll follow up with each of you, of course.
Right. Seeing no further additions, deletions, or corrections, may I have a motion to approve as amended?
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on for informational items by members of the City Commission. Commissioner Katz, would you like to begin?
Thank you. I do not have anything to disclose at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Hay.
No disclosures at this time.
Commissioner Romulus.
Yes, Chair, Mayor, thank you. I met with LKM. I'm not sure if that's, I know that their name is longer than that, but I do remember the initials. It's LKM, and it was regarding the 115 North Federal project, and they were showing me some ideations that they have for build out of that parcel. And I believe that is all I have in terms of disclosures. I do want to give a brief shout out to some visitors that we have in the audience with us today. These are high school students from the EJS projects, which is a community organization based out of Delray Beach. They wanted to visit the city of Boynton Beach today and learn about civic government and how we do what we do. So they came here and got to have a quick little walking tour of our downtown and asked me a ton of questions about what I do and what we do. And they also got to learn a lot, and they'll be here watching us live this evening and learning. So just wanted to welcome them and thank them for coming, and thank Mr. Dupree Jackson, who's back there, who's leading the organization and really just supporting these students to open up their minds and teach them all about local government and what they can be and do in the future to serve their communities. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yesterday evening, I attended the Downtown Business Coalition. It was an excellent event, great turnout. And let me just say that I'm extremely happy to see so many small businesses come out and join forces. So I'm looking forward to seeing them grow and all the things that they're going to accomplish together. And of course, to all the young people here today, thank you for coming. Awesome.
Thank you. As for my disclosures, on April 21st, I attended the Education Foundation's new Red Apple store supply, where they provide school supplies for free to teachers in Title I schools. On April 22nd, I took a class to become a certified public pension trustee for the city's general employees public pension. On Friday, I passed the test with a 92%, and I did an ICLA recording that should be made public. On April 24th, I was over at the Fit Team Ballpark with our Parks and Rec staff for Best Buddies International. Boynton Beach was recognized as being an inclusive city. And I made a challenge to all the other mayors. I sent a letter. I only got one response back, and we were the only city there. So I want to give kudos to the staff here to understanding that we want to make sure everyone feels welcome in the city of Boynton Beach. On April 26th, I met with Jessica White for the Sexual Exploitation and Abuse Child Protection Agency. With the funding that is coming to the city, I want to make sure that all of our staff, police, Parks and Rec, library, know the signs of sexual exploitation and abuse. In addition, that afternoon, I had lunch with Tom Kaiser over at the Tom Kaiser USN Boynton Beach Veterans Memorial Park. I'd like to say that I'm glad we got the monument correct. And I'd also like to thank Representative Casello for starting that ball going forward. In addition, that evening I attended the Historical Society of Boynton Beach, and I encourage everyone to join. The information that they're providing is extremely relevant and entertaining. On April 27th, I met with John Markey and Jeff Johnson of JKM Developers. And from April 28th to May 1st, I made it up to Tallahassee. I did my best to do mass transit. So I took a lift to the Tri-Rail to hop on the Greyhound to get to Tallahassee. On the 29th, I attended a virtual meeting with Senator Berman and was able to visit Representative Casello at the Capitol and met with Representative Caruso later at a restaurant after the session was over. The morning of April 30th, I attended the SEFTEC meeting, which stands for the Southeast Florida Transportation Council, which is the MPOs of Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach, to have discussions with Tri-Rail, Brightline, FEC, to see what is going to happen with commuter rail on our FEC corridor. I don't know if I got my answer whether we should start building multifamily now or wait until a station is planned for our Boynton Beach location. That afternoon, I met with Winwood Communications, and also I'd like to thank so much for our lobbyist Ballard partners. They were indispensable with me getting to Tallahassee, finding things to do, and meeting with our representatives and senators. I want to wish everyone a wonderful Greek Orthodox, on May 2nd, a Greek Orthodox Easter. And then on May 3rd, there was no closed door in regards to the lawsuit for our town square. And I just want to reiterate my proposal of allowing for TIF for community benefits for the South Garage, and the fact that our world is very different than 2017, to hopefully work with our developers, both public and private, to reset the button for the hotel, the northern parcel and the central parcel. And today I wish May the 4th be with you, and had lunch with Daniel Hartwell. In addition, I received calls in regards to community standards in the heart of Boynton to make sure that the businesses are not conducting business on our roads. And that is all my disclosures. And there was one other thing that I realized is that, Jim, you alluded to the governor's executive order. Are you able to present some information about that in legal for our next meeting?
Yes, sir, and I will probably issue a written memorandum to the commission, city manager and clerk tomorrow morning.
Okay, that's plenty good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other informational items by the commission?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
I would like to take this time, and I'm sure all of us do, to wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day on this coming Sunday. We know that it's well deserved, and I would not want to have your job. But we're going to treat you like you should be treated, and have a great time, all the mothers and fathers who are acting as mothers. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no more informational items, we will move on to announcements. State Senator Lori Berman and State Representative Joe Casello to provide us an update on the 2021 Florida legislative session. And is Senator Berman virtually here?
Mayor, this is Catherine Matos. They had confirmed with Candace that they would be attending in person.
Oh, I see Representative Casello, so.
Good evening, commissioners. It's good to be back. Boy, a lot has changed since I've been here last time. You should all be proud. This is really a place that gives me great pride and joy. Mayor, it's was good to see you up in Tallahassee, and it's good to see that you're still disclosing all those good things that you do for Boynton Beach, keeping busy and helping moving Boynton forward. So we appreciate that, obviously. And Commissioner Romulus, you just did a thing here tonight that it's very hard and difficult to do in Tallahassee when you make a motion and only need 2 other votes to get it approved. It's a lot different up there, obviously, in the State House. And to you students here, and Commissioner Romulus, thank you for inviting these young ladies and men here to see how city government works. And I would extend an invitation to you next session that they come up, if possible, up to Tallahassee, and we can show them around and show them how state government works.
I see some excited faces. Yeah.
Yeah, it might not be as welcome as this. We usually preference these updates to our constituents by naming them the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm not a big Clint Eastwood fan, so we're not going to do that. But I can tell you this up there at the State House, that the emphasis is on taking local government out of the equation, preempting just about everything that can be possibly preempted in state government. They will at one point or another throw out there and try to do. So what I'd like to do is start off with some of the preemptions that actually passed this year, and then we'll get in some of the good things, and then I can tell you my personal successes that I had at this session. Starting off in the preemption thing, we had House Bill 53, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with the preemptions. I'll give you the House Bill numbers, just a little thumbnail of what it was. It'll take, took us 8 weeks to get to this point, so I don't think we have that long here. But House Bill 53 was a growth management. If a project receives any state money as opposed to the current 50% or more, that isn't allowed to place restrictions on where the contractor is located, nor tie it to any apprenticeship programs. Pretty concerning. Also, House Bill 421 and House Bill 1101 makes it significantly easier to sue local governments over land use issues under the Byrd-Harris Act, streamlines the process for suit, expands what suits are eligible, and shortens the time to notify the government of the suit from 150 days to 90 days. So we're making it easier to sue local governments, but harder to sue business for not listening to local government. House Bill 839, gasoline preemption, stops local governments from being able to ban gas stations. Now, I don't know any of the commission here or past commissioners that would want to ban gas stations. But their fear here is that we get into this new green energy. There'll be less call for the gasoline cars. And so they're trying to get ahead of the curve on that one. H Bill 663, it was called the cottage food operations. The home cottage food operations receive many exceptions to Florida and local laws if they make under 50,000. This expands those operations to 250,000, which is a substantial business being run at home. And we had House Bill 403. It's the firearm preemption, which makes your job here as local government harder to preempt any kind of existing firearm laws. And what we now did pass up there is we are now able to take firearms into our churches. And as one of my colleagues called it, we're packing the pews. So just be careful when we end up going to our gods. This is a real concerning one for me. And we fought it hard, tooth and nail, and it kind of ties into the cottage industry. And it's H. Bill 403, and it's a home-based business. Once again, preempts local government from regulating home-based businesses differently than other business. It allows up to 2 employees to come and go who don't live in the home. And what they can do here, they can do anything, any kind of a business, from car repair to welding. We use some ridiculous examples of, men's clubs. It just got ridiculous. And what will happen here is that it's going to disrupt our neighborhoods. That's what this bill is going to do. I can see all kinds of issues coming down the road, and they put a lot of exceptions in there. The door must be closed. It must be this. But who enforces that is our code department. And you know how stretched they are just doing the everyday daily things that they do now. And, all of these points to the same thing, that the legislator up there in Tallahassee always believes they know better than you, the local government, which is quite concerning. And I just want to tell you one little story here, because I want to give you an overview on how things sometimes happen in Tallahassee. And this one was had to do with Key West. And I think this is important to know. Not allowing Key West, even after voters voted by more than 60% to not allow huge cruise ships to dock. So important to the legislature that they pushed this into the night onto another bill, because it had died, and it had nothing to do with cruise ships, and it passed. And I can tell you this only happened after the pier operator had donated that night $1 million to our great Governor DeSantis. So that's how some of the things go in Tallahassee, and it's not always pretty. Just one other one, and I talked to the city manager on this. In fact, I called up to the city manager on this one, because I thought it will, not to pun on words, but it will have an impact on the city, and provides that impact fees increase that are no more than 25% of the current rate must be implemented in 2 equal annual increments. If increased between 25 and 50 at the current rate, it must be implemented in 4 equal increments. It provides that impact fee increases may not exceed 50% or may not be increased more than once every 4 years. So that's definitely going to have a thing on, our developments as we move forward. The impact fees, it's always been a point of contentious argument. So that's another thing. The good things. The good thing is our senator is here. Sorry, Laurie Berman. And it's been a pleasure to work with her across the halls up there in Tallahassee. She's a warrior. Some of the good things that we did do. $100 million for the resiliency to deal with rising sea levels. And we did put $500 million into septic to sewer. And we extended Medicaid. Now, not to be confused with expansion, okay? Like the speaker made that perfectly clear. For a woman who just had a child, now we're going to expand it to a full year for her, which is good. And a lot of this is because of possibly because of the $10 billion that came from Congress and President Biden's plan there. And for you grandparents out there, we do have some good news to see your grandchildren more, because we are now allowing top performing out-of-state college students to obtain state tuition who have a grandparent who is a Florida resident. So you probably end up seeing more of your grandkids in the real near future. Now, some of the things that the senator and I had been working over there in Tallahassee for the last 3 years, 3 sessions, you will. And just to give you a little outlay, what happens is that when you bring an idea or a bill up to Tallahassee, doesn't necessarily pass with flying colors or gets rejected in the first couple of sessions. You have to work on it. You have to build relationships. You have to build respect and trust amongst your colleagues across the aisle. And Senator Berman and I think we did that pretty good over the last 3 sessions. It gets frustrating, but we did it. And my bill over there in the House, and it's Senator Berman's over there, it's called the Purple Alert. And what is the Purple Alert? Well, it's very similar to the it falls in between what we have, the Amber Alert, which we know is for children up to 18, and the Silver Alert, which is us seniors 59 years and older. And what this does, it takes care of adults with cognitive disabilities such as autism and Down syndrome. And Senator Berman can probably build on this a little better, but Senator Berman got a letter from a individual. Her name was Beverly Marshall, and she lost a son, Joshua Marshall. He fell in between the cracks, and ultimately he perished because of this. Another one of my bills that, well, it didn't pass it, but this is how it works up there. It was House Bill 81. It's called the Sales Tax Exemption, and it's an exemption for certain medical devices for our seniors and elderly and our veterans. And it wasn't going to pass because it has a reoccurring cost of, I think, $3 to $5 million every year. With a $101 billion budget, I didn't think that was such a big deal. But that being said, it wasn't going to get anything. But talking to the Chair Payne up there, and convincing him that this, and he went along with it, that he has elderly parents, and this would definitely be a devices that they could use to age and have a good home life instead of going into assisted living or nursing homes. And that was rolled into the tax passage, and now that's going to be law if our great governor signs it. And the other one I was proud, and for my first responder friends out there, as you know, I was a firefighter for many years, and I'm a big cheerleader for first responders and what they do every day, especially during this COVID, how they made sacrifices out there for us. I was the co-prime sponsor on a bill for the Firefighter Bill of Rights to give them some protection as they do us. We passed it along the House, but we didn't get it across the finish line in the Senate, but I can definitely tell you that will be back next year. And lastly, this is what you send us up there for in most cases, is appropriations. Appropriations is money coming back into our community. And I'm proud to announce that on my House side, I've got over $1 million coming back. If the governor says it's on his desk, it passed both the House and Senate. And right here in our town square, $75,000 of that is going to be for our ADA crosswalks here. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hopeful. And House Bill 2497 that I passed and got the appropriation for was transportation disadvantaged discount bus passes assisting Palm Beach County for the needy population, such as the disabled and elderly and the poor. And I was happy to be able to do that, bring back over $1 million. So that's a little thumbnail what I did in the House. And Senator Berman, that she's a fighter. She can file a lot more bills than I can, and she probably does twice the workload that over there in the Senate. So thank you very much for your time.
Senator Berman, would you like to?
Which
Does not matter.
Okay, great. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, nice to see you. So happy to be home, happy to be done. And as you all heard, we ended on Friday. So this is really hot off the presses. And I'm so happy to work with my colleague, Rep. Casella. We had a really good year. There were only 275 bills that passed the entire legislature. So for us to get the purple alert through, as well as the sales tax exemption, which is going to be, and it's a permanent sales tax exemption, so it's going to be really helpful for our seniors to be able to live in their home, to age in place. It's only for 4 items, but they're important items: bed rails, grab bars, shower seats, and bed transfer handrails. So I'm happy that we're making that. And we know because of COVID, so many of our elderly have really suffered, and this will hopefully help people have dignity to age in place. As you heard, we had an unbelievable budget this year. We passed an over $100 billion budget. When I first started 11 years ago, we had a budget in the 60 billion, which I thought that was crazy. So it has increased dramatically. Part of it is because of the federal dollars that we brought down under the American Recovery Act, and part of it because the economy did a little better. So we went up there really worried about what was going to happen with the budget, and in the end we were pretty flush, and we were pretty happy with everything that was done. It was I think a unanimous vote. One person in your chamber, I believe, who's never happy with anything, voted against it, but everybody else supported the budget. So you know, there's good things in there for healthcare and for education. We're giving many of our state employees $1,000 bonus. So I was proud to support the budget. But overall, it was a really tough year. There were some of the things that we wanted to see happen, like changing the increasing unemployment insurance were not discussed. Medicaid expansion was not discussed. We had the one area where we are extending it, but that was not expansion. So it was a little disappointing as far as that goes. I'd like to go over some of the preemptions. I heard Rep. Casello talk to you a little bit about impact fees. But I like to tell you what was preempted so that you'll know as you move forward. Obviously, the League of Cities will be giving you this list also. But I want to give you a little bit of a preview. And I will tell you that this was one of the worst sessions in terms of preemption that in my 11 years. And I've heard that from a lot of people. So be careful, because there's a lot of things that were preempted. I think the most egregious one has to do with home-based businesses. They can no longer be regulated any differently than any other business in your jurisdiction, which means that somebody could have a funeral home, an auto repair shop, a stereo installation in their garage, and you can't even regulate their hours. So that one passed very, very narrowly. I think in the Senate, the vote was 18 to 19. I believe that bill has the opportunity for the governor to issue a veto. So if you're not happy with it, I would say now's your chance to go to the governor and tell him this is not the kind of bill that they should be signing in the legislature. We also preempted a lot of things having to do with renewable energy. We did something having to do with fuel retailers. You can't tell your gas stations where they can locate. Although there is, there's some nuances to that. We preempted renewable energy sources. So you cannot have a policy, I don't think, of saying we want our city to be 100% renewable energy by 2030. I think that's been preempted. We also preempted tobacco and nicotine products laws. So if you have any laws in place that say a store can only put the tobacco products in certain places, like behind the counter, that will also be preempted. And we preempted some local occupational licenses. And perhaps one of there were quite a few egregious preemptions. One of the most, I would say the most egregious was we preempted the voters in Key West. They passed a referendum saying they only want smaller ships to come into their port, and the legislature said, no, you have to accept all ships. So that really only applies to ports, but the fact that we passed something that overrode the will of the voters was pretty astounding in Tallahassee. And then the one that may impact you the most was put on another bill. It was put on the Florida Building Code, and it started out really horrible. And it said you couldn't regulate building design elements applied to a single family home. After there was so much talk about it, there was an amendment put on, and you can regulate if the dwelling's in a planned unit development or master plan community, and if you have a design review board or an architectural review board. So those are the exceptions on that issue.
Senator,
Sure.
I just have a question on
Sure.
that. Those boards, do they have to have already been in place? Or
I
can they
do
be-
believe so. I think you're probably already going to have it in place in order to be able to get around that requirement. I know they said Gulfstream was really active because I guess they have a design review board and an architectural review board. So we'll have to see. That is House Bill 401. So you can ask your council to look into that and tell them what impact you think it will have here in the town.
Thank you, Senator.
Sure, absolutely. And that's kind of it. Oh, and then the final thing that you should be aware of in connection with the anti-riot bill, House Bill 1, there is a provision that if you lower the budget of your law enforcement agency, that can be challenged. But I believe the only people who can challenge it are the the sitting commissioners and the state attorneys. So originally it was subject to a much broader challenge, but in the end, I think that's the challenge. So if for any reason, if they don't need new cars this year, so they get a lower budget, that's subject to challenge, which is a little crazy if you ask me. So that's kind of a brief overview of the preemption so that you're prepared and ready to move forward. I love representing Boynton Beach. This is my 11th year. I just finished my 11th session, and I think I've had Boynton Beach for all of the 11 years. So happy to have all of you, represent all of you. My office is in Boynton Beach in the Children's Service Council building right at I-95 and Gateway Boulevard. We're there for all of you. We're happy. We saw the mayor came up to Tallahassee, which was fabulous. And we have open doors, and we're happy to work with you guys. You're a great city, and we're so proud to represent you. Any questions? Yeah.
Yes, my quick question is that I hear you're going back for a special session, and is that going to be discussing the American Rescue Plan funds or?
Yeah, we are going back for a special session. We will not be discussing the American Rescue. I don't know if we've gotten the official notice yet, but we've been told that it's only to do the gambling compact with the Seminole tribe.
Okay.
That's what we've been advised. So I don't think we will be doing the American Rescue Act. I mean, they put the American Rescue Act into the budget.
Okay.
Most of the money is there. We're actually going to have a $6 billion reserve. They put a pretty significant chunk in reserves and some throughout in other places in the budget. So they pretty much spent that. The state got about 10 billion and they've pretty much allocated it, including some in reserves, which is a good idea because we saw this last year, why you do need reserves, unfortunately. Yeah. Right. So one thing that we did pass, just so everyone should know, we've all been advocating for years for internet sales tax because it's not fair to our brick and mortar businesses here in town that they have to pay sales tax and the internet providers don't. So this year, happily, we passed the internet sales tax, which we were all really excited about. But then they took the money from the internet sales tax, and that was kind of discouraging because it's a lot of money. It's about $100 million, I think, a year at least. Maybe more. Is it more? Yeah, it's a bigger amount. It's $1 billion, I guess, by the time you're done. And we're going to use it to pay the unemployment fund for the businesses. None of the money will go to the people who were unemployed, but the businesses, instead of having an increase in their unemployment tax, which would have happened because so many people were out of work, it will now be substituted by that. And then eventually when that fund gets back to $4 billion, which is where it should be, they will take the money and use it for the commercial rent to lower the commercial rent tax. So a lot of us were disappointed that we didn't increase the amount of unemployment insurance for our residents because we have one of the absolute lowest in the country. It's $275 a week. That's unsustainable. And all we wanted was to increase it $100 to $375, which is not even much more sustainable, but it's a little better. And we couldn't get that through. And instead, the businesses will benefit, but unfortunately, the unemployed individuals will not. So that's it. What? Sorry?
Excuse me. And then the Sadowski Fund, did we have any money left in there?
Yeah, so what we did with Sadowski, which is always also another area where we work together, a lot of us. So this year, because so many people moved to the state of Florida, the Sadowski Fund was very high. It was over 400 million. Usually it's about 300 million. So what they did is they passed a law saying that half of the money goes to Sadowski and it can never be swept, half. And then the other half will go to the Water Resiliency Fund, which is a great thing, but I'm sad that they took it from affordable housing. I would have liked to see the Affordable Housing Fund fully funded with the $400 million and find other funds for the water resiliency funds. And there are a lot of grants and projects this year. So you should be aware, in terms of septic to sewer, there's grant money. In terms of resiliency, there's grant money. So we should be, as we see them, we'll keep you advised so that because those are good projects that the city can be applying for, and we should be getting our fair share, especially here in Palm Beach County for those issues. But I was disappointed about Sadowski, but the one good thing is from now on, at least half will never be swept. Only half,
Only half will be
is guaranteed.
yeah.
And half will be swept, right? Exactly. That's where we are.
All right, so I'll ask the commission, do you have any other questions for Senator Bertman or Representative Casello?
No questions, just to say thank you to Senator
Thank you,
Bertman
yes.
and her staff. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Representative.
Yep, Commissioner Hay? Nope, we're not hearing you.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Lord, did I hear you right to say that, in our city, we have certain zones, and if it says that you can't have a gas station here, that we can no longer regulate that? Did I hear that correctly?
I'm not 100% sure. We asked that question. We said if it's a historic zone, or a residential zone, can you say that the gas station can't come to that area? And the answer wasn't 100% correct. So we need to look into that. But there are definitely restrictions on where you can limit gas stations. And one of the interesting things about it also is I think they're forbidding you from saying that the gas stations have to have the electric vehicle charging stations. You're not allowed to require that. If a gas station wants to put it in, that's their prerogative, but you can't require that as part of their putting in the gas station.
So I know a question that we'll have to ask our staff is whether that law applies to the setbacks, I think, that we have for gas stations.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
There was a lot of preemption this year, Commissioner Hayes. So unfortunately, there was a lot of feeling like we're going to take control in Florida, and unfortunate, because I feel like government closest to the people knows what's best for the people, and I think you guys do a great job running your city, and I'm sorry that we passed a lot of these laws.
Okay. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Take care.
Please give my best to Abby.
I will. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening. Bye, everyone.
Our next announcement is by Gary Dunmeyer, Interim Director of Public Works and Engineering, that the Solid Waste Division will be having Tire Amnesty Week. Gary?
Thank you, Mayor. Gary Dunmeyer, Interim Director of Public Works. I wanted to tell the public about a week-long event starting on Memorial Day called Tire Amnesty Week. This event aims to help reduce mosquito-borne illness such as West Nile virus. We can participate by disposing of old tires that may be used to house breeding mosquitoes. During this week, residents may place up to 8 car tires, passenger car tires, with or without rims at the curb. And tires must be placed at the edge of the road at least 3 feet away from your garbage cart or any other fixtures such as fire hydrants, telephone, mailbox, etc. And it should be placed with your bulk and garbage, and keep vegetation separate, please. If you have any questions, you can contact the Solid Waste Division. It's 561-742-6200, Monday through Friday, 7:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon.
Thank you. Our next is hurricane season begins June 1st, and the Solid Waste Division is urging residents to do their part by conducting tree trimming early in preparation for the hurricane season. Our first proclamation for the evening is for the month of May 2021 as Guardian Ad Litem Speak Up for the Kids in Foster Care Appreciation Month. Tanya Kajust of Speak Up for Kids will accept the proclamation. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas the Guardian Ad Litem program is a force of volunteers who advocate on behalf of children who have been abused, neglected, or abandoned by their caregivers. And whereas Speak Up for Kids of Palm Beach County serves as an exclusive nonprofit supporting funding, wellness, normalcy, and therapeutic initiatives for children in care. And whereas in 1984, Palm Beach County adopted the program and began with 15 volunteers and currently has a corps of greater than 600 volunteers serving the nearly 1,600 children in care. And whereas in 2008, Speak Up for Kids of Palm Beach County was founded to fund gaps in needed services for child victims served by the Guardian Ad Litem program. And whereas to illustrate the magnitude of the financial benefit of the collaboration between the Guardian Ad Litem program and Speak Up for Kids brings to Florida the services donated by guardians across State of Florida over $18 million in salaries and mileage reimbursement costs. That is greater than $1 million for Palm Beach County alone. The Guardian Ad Litem program and Speak Up for Kids are making an impact in children's lives, and the return on investment the program brings to the county is unparalleled. And whereas Boynton Beach is a dynamic, multicultural, and vibrant city counted as the third largest in Palm Beach County, the leadership of the Guardian Ad Litem program and Speak Up for Kids is honored to join forces and collectively build awareness around and advocate for the best interest of our community's most vulnerable. And whereas the Guardian Ad Litem program and Speak Up for Kids are hereby recognized for their joint efforts and success in standing united to ensure local children thrive. Now therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, to hereby proclaim the month of May 2021 as Guardian Ad Litem Speak Up for Kids and Foster Care Appreciation Month. And is Tanya here virtually, or?
Mayor Grant, I do not see Ms. Kajust in the attendees list at the moment.
Okay. Thank you. Our next proclamation is to proclaim May 2021 as Mental Health and Trauma Informed Care Month. Gerda Klein of the Boynton Beach Mental Health Committee will accept the proclamation. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and everyone experiences times of stress and struggles in their lives. And 1 in 4 adults and 1 in 5 youths aged 13 to 18 experience serious mental illness. And whereas 60% of adults and 50% of youth do not receive the treatment necessary for their mental health needs due to limited or no knowledge of the need, barrier to care, or fear and shame. And whereas research recognizes that adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, which include but are not limited to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, physical and emotional neglect, household dysfunction, untreated mental illness, or incarceration of a household member, domestic violence, microaggressions, and separation or divorce involving household members are traumatic experiences that can have a profound effect on a child's developing brain and body, can result in poor physical and mental health during childhood and adulthood. And whereas we acknowledge the impact of racial trauma on our community, which refers to the stressful effects and emotional pain of one's direct and generational experience with racism and discrimination, and its negative impact on physical, mental, and socio-emotional health across their lifespan. And whereas promoting mental health and wellness leads to higher overall productivity, better educational outcomes, lower crime rates, stronger economies, lower healthcare costs, improved family life, improved quality of life, and increased lifespan. And whereas the City of Boynton Beach recognizes the work of the Boynton Beach Mental Health Committee in impacting awareness and education, access to services, and acceptance of the importance of mental health and well-being to a person's overall success, and supports the implementation of trauma-informed approaches throughout the systems of care. Now therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of May of 2021 as Mental Health Awareness and Trauma-Informed Care Month. Thank you. I believe Gerda is here virtually.
That is correct, Mayor Grant. She is currently self-muted.
Please, yep,
Hear me now?
yes, we can.
Okay. On behalf of the Boynton Beach Mental Health Committee, I am proud to accept this proclamation and thank Mayor Grant and the other commissioners for the city's declaration that May is Mental Health Awareness and Trauma-Informed Care Month. We also express deep appreciation for the city's continued support of mental health education and awareness in our community. Green is the color of mental health, and even though you can't see me, I'm wearing my official Get Your Green On t-shirt and hope that you sport your green through the month. May 20th is the day when everyone in the county takes green group selfies to post on social media. A special thank you to Andrew Mack, who will keep our water tower green for most of the month. I get a lot of points at the committee meetings, but to telling them that, they always are very pleased to hear about our water tower turning green. This is the 5th year of the county-wide Get Your Green On campaign. Last Friday morning, we had an exciting virtual kickoff. Our committee has been working with the city library and other community partners to create a calendar of virtual offerings from self-care and meditation to eating disorders, which offers separate sessions for teens and families. Check our library programs on the library website and scroll down to the May listings to register. All Palm Beach County schools, businesses, and agencies are encouraged to get in on Get Your Green On and help spread the importance of mental health awareness. What better time to do that than now, as we all slowly begin to emerge from the worst pandemic any of us has ever experienced, where not a single person escaped the pain and the endless losses, the loneliness and fear. It is time for community healing to begin and to understand it is okay not to be okay, and to help those who need help to find their way. It is time to focus on workforce wellness and reintegration to society post-COVID. It is time to nourish our bodies and understand how nutrition and diet influence mental health, and how a solid self-care plan can help us better cope with anxiety and depression. It is our resilience that gives us hope to reach out to each other in community to rebuild and restore. Please check out our website, bbmentalhealth.org, and let us know how we can help. Let us work together to be the change you want to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerda. I remember when I first got elected, we had a meeting with you, Commissioner Hay, and that number, I'm looking at it, the fully packed chambers now. There's more than 4 adults, there's more than 5 youths here. And it's saying that mental health is not something that you may experience right now, but it's something that you may experience in the future, and that it's okay to discuss about it. For me, after being elected mayor, it was not as easy as it sounds. So I had to go through the city's employee assistance program. I was able to speak to a therapist. And that's what I encourage everyone to do, is that life will get tough. Things will be difficult. And having the resources available, like we have in our library here, to go speak with somebody. And if you don't know where to turn to, the number is 211. They are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And at any time you can give them a call, because life is precious and we want everyone to live their best lives. So I hopefully, throughout the journey of life, you realize that it's okay to be on to be in a ditch. The point is to stop digging so you can get yourself out, and you may need someone else's help. So thank you again, Gerda, for bringing this to everyone's attention, and please let me know how I can join on May 20th.
Thank you, Mayor.
Our next is a proclamation for the municipal clerks. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local governments, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, And whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the municipal clerk serves as the informational center on functions of local government and community. Whereas municipal clerks continue to strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is the most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of May 2nd through May 8th, 2021 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our City Clerk, Crystal Gibson, Deputy City Clerk, Tammy Stancione, and to all municipal clerks, Shayla and Catherine, for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
This is Crystal Gibson. I just wanted to say a couple of words, if that's okay. I just want to, as everyone knows, this is my first commission meeting returning from maternity leave. And I just want to especially thank and extend appreciation to all of the staff in the clerk's office. They work so hard to hold the fort down while short-staffed. And just to name their names again, Deputy City Clerk Tammy Stanzioni, Specialized Assistant and Cemetery Point Person Shayla Ellis, our Minute Specialist Catherine Cherry Guberman, and we have Jaime Sanchez, which is an imaging technician in our office as well. And just to say that it's definitely the collective work of all the wonderful staff that makes the city clerk's office succeed in serving our community well. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to proclaim May 18th as Haitian Flag Day and proclaim the month of May 2021 as Haitian Heritage Month. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas the growth and prosperity of the city of Boynton Beach is due to, in part to an ethnic diversity that includes a substantial and rapidly increasing Haitian population. And whereas we recognize the valuable contribution of the Haitian people in the fight for the independence of the United States of America, especially in the Battle of Savannah, and pay due tribute to their endowment. And whereas the Haitian population in South Florida joins together during the month of May to commemorate their Flag Day and celebrate their historical, and cultural identity. And whereas Haitian President Dumarie Estime started the Flag Day celebration and parades, cultural and athletic events in many cities in Haiti in the 1930s. When the Minister of Education under President Stenio Vincent, Estime wanted to commemorate annually the creation of the Haitian flag to encourage the development of patriotic sentiments among Haitian youth. And whereas it is appropriate to promote awareness and understanding of cultural diversity in our society in order to strengthen the self-esteem of our multicultural community. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the 18th day of May 2021 as Haitian Flag Day and the month of May as Haitian Heritage Month. There you go. That is a very nice skirt you're wearing too. Is that also the Haitian colors?
No, they're not. But thank you. I do want to say just a few words. I always try to take a moment to shine light on my heritage as a Haitian American woman. I was born in Haiti, came to America when I was 6 years old, and just our Haitian culture is just so full of just hard work and resiliency. And you may, hear a lot of the bad things about Haiti, but sometimes, I always want to make sure we highlight the great things. So we are people of just strong moral, ethical standards. We do the most we can with the little that we have to get to where we need to go. And, I think of my father at this moment who got on a boat and came to America, and he was one of those boat people. But he did what he had to do in order to provide for his family at the time. And because of him, I now am here and I'm serving in this city, this wonderful city that has raised me, and now I get to give back to it. So Haitian Flag Day and Haitian Heritage Month is, more than just a proclamation. It's just the reality that a lot of us live in. We're proud to live in this country. We're proud to call America home. But we also remember that Haiti is where, as a Haitian would say, "Côté l'embouette enterré." So that simply just means where your belly button is buried. That may not translate very well in English, but it means a lot to people who are of Haitian descent. So thank you all for just indulging me, and thank you for this proclamation, Mayor.
Thank you. No, it's, understanding Haitian history and their self-determination. It's glad to have them as part of our community because of their willingness to be part of the Boynton Beach culture and voting. And so it is very important to recognize the Haitian community because, as we've seen in the past, they vote and are very involved with local government. Our next announcement is proclaim the month of May 2021 as National Historic Preservation Month. Ms. Barbara Reedy, Chair of the Historic Resources Preservation Board, will receive the proclamation. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for promoting sustainable development, revitalizing neighborhood, fostering local pride, promoting tourism, and maintaining community character. Whereas it is important to acknowledge and celebrate the benefit of history, architecture, and archaeology to our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped the city. Whereas historic preservation can be the center of community discussion, uniting residents behind an important cause. Whereas the City of Boynton Beach conducted its first comprehensive survey of historic properties in 1996, thereby laying the groundwork for recording historic properties with the state of Florida's Division of Historical Resources database, and ultimately establishing the Historic Preservation Program in 2011. Whereas with the establishment of a complete historic preservation program, City of Boynton Beach in 2012 achieved certified local government status in accordance with the requirements of the state of Florida's Division of Historic Resources Bureau of Historic Preservation. And whereas the City of Boynton Beach continues to demonstrate its commitment to preservation, in part with the establishment and maintenance of a local registry of historic sites, establishment of heritage trails in the downtown area as well as along Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and integration of historic elements into the Town Square redevelopment project, including the 1913 Boynton School and recent rehabilitated 1927 Boynton High School. Now therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2021 as National Historic Preservation Month, and call upon the people of Boynton Beach to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Commissioners. A lot of people aren't aware that historic preservation is a proven economic driver. Communities who take pride in the houses they live in are happier, and people want to live there. And the more people want to live in these communities, the more vibrant the community is. We have much to be proud of here in Boynton. We saved the old high school across the street, which is now a beautiful, actually astounding building. And thank you very much. On behalf of the Historic Preservation Board, we are grateful for this acknowledgement. Thank you.
Our next proclamation is May 14th, 2021 as No Place for Hate Day. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas for over 108 years, the Anti-Defamation League has broken many barriers and bridged many obstacles in carrying out their mission to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice for fair treatment to all. And whereas the demand for ADL's resources and skills to help individuals and communities to confront, challenge, combat, and counteract hatred in all forms is higher than at any time in recent memory. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the 14th of May, 2021 as No Place for Hate Day. Do we have Eric Ross?
Yes. Yes, sir. I'm here. Eric Ross from ADL.
Yes. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure thing. Thank you so much, Mayor Grant, Vice Mayor Pensurga, and Commissioners Hay, Katz, and Romulus for inviting us to join you for this proclamation in honor of ADL's 2021 No Place for Hate Day. Since 1913, the mission of the Anti-Defamation League has been to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to protect the rights and fair treatment of all individuals alike. Dedicated to combating anti-Semitism, prejudice, bigotry, and hate of all kinds, as well as defending democratic ideals and promoting civil rights. We have long been recognized as a leading resource on effective responses to violent hate and extremism. Our ultimate goal is a world in which no group or individual suffers from bias, discrimination, or hate. Each and every one of us can commit to personally model the behaviors that we wish to see in others, though. And that's why on May 14th, we'll be standing up together and affirming that Florida is no place for hate. We started holding our annual No Place for Hate Day 4 years ago as a day to encourage all Floridians to become upstanders instead of bystanders and to become change agents for acceptance, diversity, and inclusivity. We celebrate all of the schools around the state who have committed to becoming No Place for Hate campuses, but on May 14th specifically, we'll also be celebrating you and everyone who joins in the effort on social media using the hashtag No Place for Hate. Thank you again to the entire Boynton Beach City Commission for joining in this effort and declaring that the city of Boynton Beach is also no place for hate.
Thank you. Our next proclamation is for May 8th, 2021 as John Lewis National Day of Action. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas the late Congressman John Lewis spent his entire adult life fighting for justice in our society following the nonviolence example set by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge to fight for Black voters and voters of color to participate in America's electoral process and the enactment of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And whereas the late Congressman John Lewis left us with the charge that together you can redeem the soul of our nation. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has passed H.R. 1 for the People Act, which will expand the rights of all voters and apply to all federal elections, including those held at the same time as state elections. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives renamed H.R. 4 John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act in honor of Congress Lewis after his death. And whereas over 150 nonpartisan organizations have come together to hold a John Lewis National Day of Action on May 8th, 2021. And whereas on May 8, 2021, there will be 137 votercades across the country to ignite public support for restoring the effectiveness of the Voting Rights Act through S1 and HR 4. And whereas the late Congressman John Lewis said that the vote is the most powerful change agent that you have in a democratic society. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the 8th day of May, 2021 as John Lewis National Day of Action. And do we have?
Hello, Mayor.
Hi.
And Commissioner. My name is V. Lynn Whitfield. I am an attorney here in Palm Beach County. And on behalf of Transformative Justice Coalition and the F. Malcolm Cunningham Senior Bar Association, which is our local sponsor, I want to thank you for this proclamation. I want to thank you for partnering with us and the other 150 organizations around the nation as we address the issue of voter suppression. We are bringing attention to the need to protect the vote and everyone's vote. On May the 8th, we will be holding a votercade here in Palm Beach County, and we will be starting in the beautiful city of Boynton Beach. The votercade will start at Boynton Beach Mall There will be a press conference at 2 o'clock, and the motorcade will pull out at 3 p.m., traveling north on Congress. It will continue on to Australian Avenue. We will have people joining us from the Palm Beach State College and then also at the Urban League in West Palm Beach. The motorcade will end at Dan Calloway Recreation Complex in the city of Riviera Beach, where we will hold a celebration village. We will have a teach-in so people can learn more about the importance of contacting their senators and their representatives in Washington to pass S1, to reintroduce H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and to also pass DC statehood. This is a very important time in our history as we look at what the Florida legislature did just this last session with the enactment of SB 90, which put more restrictions on voters. It is now time that if we don't do as John Lewis instructed us to do, to redeem the soul of our nation, if not us, who? If not now, when? Mayor, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Saturday and receiving that proclamation from you in person. I invite the entire city commission to join us there at the Boynton Beach Mall. I invite all the residents and citizens who care about maintaining the right and protecting the right to vote to join us on Saturday at the Boynton Beach Mall. And again, thank you, Mayor, for your support in this effort, in the whole commission for the city's support. Thank you.
Thank you. And so I just want to get the times right for the Boynton Beach Mall. We should, we plan to be there at 2 o'clock for the press conference, and at least by 2:30 if we plan on being part of the votercade.
Correct. We're actually asking people who are going to be participating in the votercade to come around 1:30 so we can make sure cars are decorated and we can have cars there. So the vote for the press conference. This is, I do want to say this because I think this is important for everyone to know, this is a nonpartisan event. We don't care about who you're voting for. We just care that you have the right to vote. And we are being COVID safe also. So please join us. We welcome everyone.
Thank you. Our last announcement for this evening is the Greater Boynton Beach Sister Cities Young Authors and Artists 2021 Virtual Exhibit and Awards Ceremony is being held on May 15th at 11 a.m., 5 p.m. Italy time. We have 40 entries from over 3 countries, with our sister cities in Lacaille, Haiti, and Firenze, Italy, also bringing us art as well. To think that 4 years ago, a student from South Tech won the international competition. Hopefully that we can do it again. And I just encourage everyone, and hopefully we can post some of the art throughout our city, so that everyone can see the theme of United in Hope. If there's no further announcements, yes.
This was not on the agenda, but I found out this morning that today is actually International Firefighters Day. It is an international occurrence. I don't know why we didn't know this, but I would want to make sure that we would not be remiss if we do not thank our firefighters who are just tremendous at supporting us and serving us here in the city of Boynton Beach. They put their lives at risk all the time to do their job, and they do it without looking for accolades. So I want to make sure that we just show them our appreciation. I also want to announce that my husband is actually now joining the ranks of becoming a firefighter himself. He will be starting to work with Palm Beach County Fire Rescue starting May 24th. So I am part of that whole firefighter family now. So just wanted to make sure I take that moment to celebrate our firefighters and to just say thank you and happy International Firefighters Day.
Yes, thank you for that. Chief Stables, if you'd like to say any words. Chief, if you'd unmute, we can recognize you and your department.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the recognition, Commissioner Romulus. Good luck to your husband in his career. It's been a very rewarding career for me. And I know our firefighters really appreciate the recognition and accolades that you've given. So thank you very much for that.
And
I would request.
Mayor?
Lori?
So I just got a text from our police chief, and we did discuss it earlier today, so I cannot not tell you that it's also Police Week. And I asked him if that was the exact title, because we were discussing proclamations and how, so I just wanted to let you know that if you would like to recognize them as well.
Happy Police Week, especially.
I asked him if that's what it's actually called. He said yes.
Mayor.
One can't get up on the other, you know that.
Mayor.
Commissioner Katz, please go ahead.
I guess it's also worth mentioning that it is Teacher Appreciation Week. So,
Teacher Appreciation Week.
so if you know teachers and you want to heap more appreciation on more people today, add them to the list. Thank you.
Mayor.
Yes.
I wasn't going to mention this now and just wait until the next meeting.
Yes.
But this is also Asian Pacific Heritage Month.
That's true. That's true. It's all.
So I'd like to request a proclamation. There's another meeting, so that's okay.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, I would just request that staff put this on the agenda for next year to remember to honor our firefighters and our police officers for the work that they do for our communities.
I remember in years past, we would go to the Village Royale on the Green for the police. So hopefully they're doing some sort of recognition for all the police officers this past year. Okay. And seeing no further announcements, we'll move on to public audience. Individual speakers will be limited to 3-minute presentations. Please state your name and address for the record before you begin.
This is Carol Porter. How are you tonight?
Doing well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I already spoke with the mayor about this particular issue. This is not an easy thing for me to do. I formerly lived in Boynton Beach at Banyan Creek Circle North. And from March 2019 to February 2020, a woman named Bina Fink conned me out of a whole bunch of money. And I later discovered this woman is an alleged con artist with felony charges for grand theft and passing bad checks and a bunch of civil cases from victims claiming she conned them. And my husband, I don't know if everybody knows Stewie, he was very sick in March of 2019. And I'm sorry, this woman took advantage of my emotional state. And she inserted herself into my life and systematically separated me from everybody I know and to make me afraid of everybody. And the result was, unfortunately, I lost a lot of money. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this. This is not very easy for me to do. And I came forward to our police and please ask them to help me. And can they please look at the bank records, emails, and texts that I sent? And I also noticed that Lori Berman, our wonderful senator from our district, spoke about seniors. We need to protect our seniors better. And I don't want anybody else going through what I went through with this particular person. So just please help me with this, okay? Thank you for listening and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, commissioners.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Raffaelli. I am the founder and executive director at Azul for Better Living. We're a nonprofit organization empowering adults with unique abilities and their caregivers through fashion, art, and design. So today I have Benjamin and Victoria who have created their own brand applying sustainable fashion design techniques. Benjamin, who made your shirt?
I made it.
You made it? And what's the name?
Okay.
Oh, okay. And that stands for what, Victoria? Oh, okay. I'm nervous.
One of a kind. One of a kind.
One of a kind trends. So Victoria, did you attend to classes with him?
Yes, I did.
And what kind of clothes do you use for these designs?
Well, we used all natural fabrics such as cotton, linens. I could name all of them, but all natural materials.
Natural materials. So gently used clothing made out of natural fibers. Additionally, I want to express much gratitude to Mayor Grant, Debbie Mayor, ADA coordinator, to all the employees of the city of Boynton Beach and its residents for their continued support and for donating clothes to our clothing drive. So our drop-off box is at the City Hall reception. And when you donate your gently used clothes, you're supporting our adults with disabilities so they can apply sustainable fashion design techniques and start their business in the near future. Additionally, I want to share with you on May 22nd, our creatives and designers will be selling for the first time their clothing to the public at our facility located at 2635 Old Okeechobee Road. So I want to invite all the community to come out and see their designs. So thank you very much again. And Mayor Grant, they would like to get a picture taken with you if you agree.
Absolutely, and I have my clothes to donate, so I'm very excited.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You're helping a great cause.
And we have a Jennifer Jones that is here virtually raising her hand, so I'm going to unmute you. Ms. Jones, you're currently self-muted. Oh. Yes.
Hi, thank you.
Yep, we can hear you. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Jennifer Jones. I represent the Volunteer Association and Fund of Florida. We're a nonprofit organization based out of Delray, but we cover Palm Beach County. The address is 280 Southeast 2nd Avenue. I'm in Delray. I did want to address the commission. I'm very pleased to see that you did the Haitian National Day and Proclamation for the Haitian Flag Day, as the Haitian population is prominent in Palm Beach County. We know that this week, a group of migrants from Haiti reached the shore of Boynton, and it's not the first time since the year started this has happened. But we, want to put ourselves as an organization that wants to work with the city when it comes to these migrants. We know that they may need some resources and also contacting the community, and know that the city of Boynton cares a lot about the Haitian population and that these migrants are in need of assistance. I urge you to do whatever you can to help these people. There is a lot of turmoil and civil unrest in Haiti. It's very difficult right now for life in Haiti to be sustainable, and these people took a very long, strenuous journey to make it all the way here, seeking for a better life and for survival. And so as the public relations director for the Volunteer Association, we stand with the city, with our government, and with these people in unison to bring the community with our government to create a space where we can help those in need. And I thank you in advance because I know how much the residents of your city care about the Haitian population, and I want to thank you, Mayor Grant, as well as Commissioner Romulus, for everything that you do in our community, and we are very willing to work and to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. And, you know, it's not necessarily a municipal issue, maybe dealing with the sheriff, state or federal. And if our police department has any information that we can relay to provide assistance to these people on the boat, refugees or asylum seekers, Jennifer, how should we contact you? Or who do we should contact with information?
Oh, absolutely. I'll provide my phone number as well as the phone number to the president of our association, Carson Zulmar. Any assistance that we can provide, we definitely want to be in touch with the parties that are in charge of that. Phone number 561-716-2956, 561-344-6022.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Grant.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on public audience?
There is one more hand raised, Mayor Grant. My mistake.
I'll go behind him.
Mr. Orr, if you don't mind, it's gonna be a little bit of time before we find him to unmute him.
Torrey Orr, Boynton Beach, Florida. 107 Northeast 7th Avenue. I want to talk about the Carolyn Sims Center once again. Why isn't it open to the people? If we the people, why is the big old library open? Costs $100 million. Like, what's going on? Like, the library been open since y'all opened it. It been open, running business. City Hall, chambers, everything open. We paying taxes in a community that a center that had been closed down to us for a year. A whole year. The center got closed last year, March 11th. Now it's made what? Second, third, fourth? Like when is it gonna ease up? When can we go back in there? Then I'm hearing that you're only letting guys from the city workers, kids go into the center. Like, is that fair? I'm just trying to figure out. Is that fair? Only the city worker kids allowed to go in the Carolyn Sims Center in our community? But Miss Carolyn left us. I was part of the Carolyn Sims program for 20 years. This center was left in her name. It ain't being treated like that. You got Miss Mary, you got Casey. I don't understand what's going on. We got the people in the position, but they ain't opening it up to us. Who is it open to? Who is it for? Who is the Carolyn Sims Center for, Mayor? Like, who is it for? Like, we paying taxes for it. If it ain't doing so good, you should close it down, right? If it's not doing so great, if not, the bill being paid over there, I see the light still on. I see the sprinkler system still up. So the water still being paid. I see Andrew Mack crew still coming to get the garbage, but I don't know for who. I don't see no people over there. Every time we go grab the door, it's locked. I walked over the other day with 15 kids. Walked over there with 15 kids. Let's go and play in our center. This is our center. Our O-U-R. But y'all not treated like that. We not being treated. We being treated as third grade people. And y'all keep thinking I'm gonna keep coming up here every time. Every time. And I'm gonna go the hell off. Cause I know y'all not respecting the nice comp shit. Ain't nobody respecting that. Cause that's y'all, we get y'all that shit every day. Please, can y'all please open our Carolyn Sims Center? Can y'all please open? Oh, we got a big old library for you down there. Walk to the library. Come tell a 6-year-old to walk to the library? That's cool? No, I don't think so. So with that, I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Orr.
Thank you, Tor. Could city staff or anybody give us an update on this?
Yes, Mayor, the building is open. It's open to the public. We had on-site learning there over this past year with COVID, but that's whittled down to, I think, 5 kids. The building is open. It was the access was restricted during COVID and portion of the on-site learning, but it's back open. The only restriction, as I understand from Casey, is the game room because of the contact, you know, with COVID still. But the facility's open. We have evening hours. We're getting back to almost normal.
So Lori, you know, the aspect of the game room is that the city has hand sanitizer, the city has masks. You know, with the fact that it's starting to get very hot, kids need to find a place to escape the heat, and you can't always go to the pool every day. I'd like to see that the game room is open and that, you know, we get the kids that are coming there the liability sign off from the parents,
Correct, that's what I was gonna say.
so that, you know, similar to what happens when we have kids at our facilities for guided recreation, whether there's certain activities. But I think that, you know, we don't necessarily allow, it's not a babysitting service, the game room, so that in order for kids to come there, their parents will have to sign off and saying, hey, I understand the risks, and, you know, we will instruct our kids that they should be wearing masks, that they should be using hand sanitizer, and social distance to the extent possible. But we're at the point that it is no longer a state of emergency in the state of Florida. And so if that's the case, that is my position, that we need to have something in place before the next city commission meeting so that we can hear from staff, how is it moving forward on May 18th?
Yes, sir. We would be happy to do that. And, you know, literally, it's a conversation that's active currently because of the governor's action this week. We will be having many discussions about what we will be resuming back to 100% normalcy. I think we need to discuss the requirement of masks in our buildings, whether we want to continue with that. We're addressing it. So yes, would you like us to back a discussion? Pardon?
1 second.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, would you like a discussion item for the next meeting? Because we would be with legal and
yeah, I'd like to get an announcement of how our facilities are reopening with the new fact that the state of emergency is being lifted, is gone. The fact that May 18th is when the county's mask mandate is over, and how that applies, because I don't know if they're able to extend another mask mandate past then, or if the mask mandate is still in place right now. So I'm wearing the mask just because I can and I want to, but that is my choice, and we will see what our laws provide and allow moving forward. So yes, I would like an update, and I'll hopefully ask the consensus from the commission.
I would agree.
Yeah,
we're ready.
Be ready. I would like to ask a question to legal. Jim, does the governor's decision override the county and the city?
Sure.
The way it's worded, the answer would be general. Yes, it does.
Okay, so I'm all for that discussion.
Thank you. All right. And so, Yuri, is there anybody else with their hand raised virtually?
I do not see anybody at the moment.
I just saw Tom raise his hand. There he is. Mr. Warnke? You're unmuted.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Tom Warnke, 2780 Worcester Road. I'm a longtime Boynton Beach resident and the executive director of the Surfing Florida Museum, a Florida nonprofit organization. Tonight, I'd like to update the commission on our work to implement the proposal submitted last year by the Recreation and Parks Department to locate the museum in the Women's Club building. Now that the Women's Club building has changed hands from the CRA to the city, in March, the Recreation and Parks Department requested a detailed proposal, and I delivered that by hard copy and electronically to the Recreation and Parks Department on March 11th. Most recently, Recreation and Parks Director Casey Young placed this on the agenda of the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board meeting on April 26th. At that meeting, I presented a more detailed information to the board. The board enthusiastically recommended the proposal be moved forward and brought to the attention of the city manager and the city commission. That meeting included public comments by way of Zoom from Delray Beach immediate past Mayor Carrie Glickstein, Rod Falls, the director of the FAU University Galleries, and 4 others, including Surfrider Foundation and Sandaway Discovery Center, all in support. Tonight, I'm asking for direction on the process by which the commission might be able to add this to their agenda for discussion on May 18th, the next meeting. Thank you, and I look forward to working with our Board of Trustees to provide Boynton Beach with a destination attraction.
Thank you, Tom. So I'd like for the commission to see the recommendation from our Parks and Recs board. And I'll also ask the city staff to provide us with a recording, whether it's uploaded to our YouTube page or where we can, or if it's just an audio recording as in years past.
I have that. I received it today, so I can forward it to the commission if you like.
Please do so. And so I'll ask the Lori, do you need a little bit more time than May 18th?
Yeah, Mayor, this just occurred on April 26th at the rec board. It hasn't made it to my desk yet. I haven't even heard of that or been briefed on it. So I'd like the opportunity to do that first and give us a little bit of time to see. I know we're just transitioning into looking at different programming and use policies. As the Vice Mayor asked earlier, we're still finalizing and need to bring back to the commission a fee structure and facility use regulations on both the Arts and Cultural Center and the Women's Club. So maybe perhaps the first meeting in June, at least, if I can have that a little bit of time, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, that sounds great. And Tom, I would suggest you attend the next city commission meeting so that you can give your input to the commission so we can direct staff what we would want to do with the city facilities.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
If you are finished, I'd like to segue in something that you just mentioned when you were requesting for recordings of these advisory board meetings. I just wanted to inform you that I have made requests of, for example, the P&D board, and I've made other requests in the past, and sometimes these recordings conveniently are not available. And so I just wanted to make sure that I ask staff in a public setting that please make sure that there are recordings of every meeting and that they can be accessible to the commission for our research purposes.
So I understand captioning is an issue regarding certain publications when putting things out to the public for YouTube and other things like that. However, I do think all of the advisory board meetings may be Zoom recordings. And so they may, do we need to spend a little bit more money for their captioning service? But I do feel that, yes, we should be posting all of our public meetings to the public so that, unless YouTube is starting to charge for server space, and we're somewhere near our max of server space, but, I've been doing this for 5 years and we've had hundreds of hours of city commission meetings. And so I don't think that's the server space is the issue with YouTube. So that's kind of where, that's something we may want to put on a future agenda to get an update of making sure that the public meetings are available to the public as we do not have a TV channel anymore.
Absolutely, and thank you for that, Mayor. As I mentioned earlier, I made previous requests, and they happened to be extremely critical moments that were necessary for an argument and information I believe the commission should have known about. But lacking the evidence,
right?
What can I do? But thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Mayor, we'll pull together basically the city's current policy on recordings. Once our recording secretaries and whether it's a vendor or a staff prepares the minutes become the permanent record. And we typically do retain the recordings. I think for several years on the occasion that the vice mayor is referring to was a vendor that was not specifically instructed to do that. They wiped it out the minute they did the written minute. So, but we'll bring back what the city does now as a practice. We meet the Florida statute rules and law for record retention. So if we want to go beyond that, we should talk about it as, from the commission, get your guidance on that, and then allow staff to put some budgetary information together on what that impact would be in a time frame. But I'd like to do that in kind of a whole policy approach if you're willing to do that.
That sounds great. And so that way we'll know for next fiscal year, how much more is it for the captioning, and make sure that, all of the advisory board meetings, because we want more than just the advisory board members to be part of those meetings.
Exactly. And right now the written minute is what the record is available. So I would like, we'll put together what that assessment looks like, or evaluation of cost and time and resource to move forward. I won't have next meeting. Is that okay to bring that to you back in June as well?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And I believe that is it for our public audience. Yuri, double check one last time. Going once.
I see no hands raised at this time.
All right, thank you. With that being done, we are moving on to administrative item 5A, appoint of eligible members of the community to serve in vacant positions in city advisory boards. Our first is Arts Advisory Board. Commissioner Hay, you have the vote.
As I understand it, there was an error made. I think what's Ace Tillman Radcliffe has already been appointed, and if Lori or Crystal want to clarify that.
Yes, the attachment in the agenda packet is from the previous meeting. Our current applicant, Amy Kelly, she applied to the CRA Advisory Board. So that is still Commissioner Hayes' appointment, Amy Kelly to the CRA Advisory Board.
Okay, then in lieu of that, rather than going with the, I'll go with Amy Kelly to the CRA Board.
All right. Having a first and second, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving forward to consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull any of the items? Yes.
Did we?
Oh, no, 5B, thank you. So I'd like to give out the remaining $200 of my community support funds to the F. Malcolm Cunningham Senior Bar Association to support the Votercade event on John Lewis National Day of Action.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. And then Commissioner Romulus, you have a
Yes, I'm
question?
not sure what the exact amount that I have left over either, but I would also like to portray or convey the remainder of my funds as well to the EJS Project Incorporated.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving forward, we have consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull any of the items for consent?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to Community Greening. In addition, we have consent bids and purchases over 100,000.
Motion to approve.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. And, I'd like to thank Ron Tapper for putting us into the right position of leasing the golf cars. I was there this past Tuesday, and they're kind of getting a little old with, it was a little dingy with the brakes. So I'm excited to get some new ones for next season. Next, we have 11A, review and select design of private intersection in Boynton Beach.
So, yeah,
Who's
we have
leading?
a few pictures or a little PowerPoint, Mayor, and Glenn would like to take you through that, if that's okay.
Yep.
Glenn, it looks like you're muted.
Hi. Not yet. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
For everybody now.
This time. Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
Glenn, please proceed.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. I'm sorry. Okay, so anyway, we're very pleased to present these Pride intersection options for East Ocean Avenue and First Street Southeast, which has the advantage of being both connected to Town Square and to Avenue of the Arts. Next slide. The basic premise for the design comes from what they call the new progressive flag, which actually includes not only the traditional Pride colors, but also new colors related to trans, non-binary individuals, marginalized people of color communities, and people living with AIDS. So we're glad to add that, which is to our thinking. Next slide. This is the picture of the intersection. Next slide. And these, oops. Is there one, did it jump to images there? There we go, yes, thank you. So there are three proposals which we've put forward to you. One is is to paint the crosswalks themselves. Be aware that at the current time, there are no crosswalks at this intersection. So this one takes the flag and converts it to a crosswalk going in each direction. Next slide. This image takes the flag and places it and paints it in the middle of the crosswalks, and then adds colorful crosswalks to each side, which kind of reflect those colors. Next slide. And this is a pattern to take the flag and cover it across the entire intersection. In this case, it would be no crosswalks delineated, as it is today. Next slide. I'm just going to give you a few images. This is an image from St. Petersburg. Next slide. There are lots of crosswalks with the simple colors. You can see here. I could have presented many more. You're just getting a few. Next slide. And these are the full crosswalks, the one in St. Petersburg. And then this is the proposal for Delray Beach in the Pineapple Grove neighborhood. And I think that's the end of my presentation. I think the Public Works Director, Gary, may have some information about pricing, et cetera. Any questions?
Do you have the associated costs with the proposals?
I think our estimate, Mayor, right now is about $12,000 for pretty much painting the intersection. And I think Gary can come on. That's what we put in the agenda item. It's a rough estimate, probably to do any one of them.
Hey,
Well,
John,
this-
do you want to go back to the actual images of the proposals for the commissioners?
So if the commission selects either one of these, or if tonight, we would be prepared. I think we have to do a second lift of asphalt on the intersection. Ocean Avenue is still due a full second lift of asphalt for the whole avenue, but for whatever reason, we're not doing that right now. So we're going to get the intersection done. That needs to cure for 30 days, and then we would bring a painting contractor in and paint the intersection probably by no later than mid-June, and have it done if we're able to select a scheme tonight. And if not, then we'll adjust the calendar accordingly. You want staff to scroll through them? Or you let us know?
I mean, Vice Mayor, would you like to lead the discussion?
Sure. So of the three proposals, I'm strongly in favor of the one with the crosswalks for three reasons, really. One, it maximizes the art. Second, it creates the crosswalks that don't exist yet. And so it could be a double win. We can finally have some crosswalks in the area. And three, it has this unique crosswalk design. And I think that'll set us apart from our neighboring cities. So I'm going to go with the flag with the crosswalks.
That would be the
Option.
next image, John.
Right.
This one.
This one?
Yes.
So my question is, how long would this last?
It's assumed, Gary Dunmeyer, interim public works. It'll last about 2 years. There might be some slight touch-ups in the meantime.
And the estimate is that 12,000 that was quoted?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
That's decent.
And Gary, does that account for the asphalt?
No, that would be separate. In fact, I had that work's going on tonight. So when we leave, we should be walking on a newly asphalted intersection.
Okay.
So that was already happening anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
My thoughts are, I agree with you, Vice Mayor. I do like the crosswalk, but I don't like the design. I don't know. I would prefer have. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but I think what I'm trying to say is that I would prefer it to kind of extend and not be a different. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say or no.
I think the next slide might accomplish that, Commissioner. John, see, that takes you, now we can demarc, if you did that, we can stripe sidewalks at any time. So we would be able to do that in addition to this, if you would like to, or even put a border on that. I thought it had the sidewalks, I'm sorry.
No, I like that the entirety of the flag is in the center of the intersection. I like that. What I don't necessarily like is just the outside borders. I just feel like it clashes. It doesn't, like, it's not a continuation. I think what I'm looking for is I would like to see a continuation or some just kind of like extension of the flag rather than, but I mean, I'm just being picky here. It's not that serious.
So Andrew Mack, if I could explain a little bit of where Commissioner Ramos is going. Are you talking about the crosswalks maybe being the flags with the flag in the middle?
Yes, it's too much. I feel like, for me, I feel like it clashes. Not this image, the one before it.
Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner Katz.
I think the word I think is busy. Like that's what I thought when I looked at some of these with all the different segmentations. So I don't know if I'm thinking the same way that Commissioner Romulus is, that some of these just look a little busy with all the different demarcation lines and things. So I'm in favor of a more kind of fluid or solid depiction that could include the crosswalk areas, but not be cut up into 4 or 5 different boxes. That's my initial reaction.
Yes.
So you're saying more of the third proposal?
My personal preference, just at face value, looking at this, there was a picture from another city, maybe it was St. Petersburg.
Right, we can do those two as well.
Like, go back.
There it is.
Yeah.
To me, that one looks like the cleanest, and I don't know. It's all preference, so I'd defer to the will of the commission, but I'm not a big fan of all the various boxes and different segmentations and things like that, those versions.
So my thought is, and you let me know what it is that instead, you see with Delray, it's horizontal lines. You see with St. Petersburg, it's, I'm sorry, Delray's diagonal lines.
Yeah.
St. Petersburg is like kind of horizontal or vertical. Could we have it more of just triangles? So it's just the full triangles of going up. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody.
Not sure what you mean by triangles.
So it's like,
Oh.
so it's kind of like, my bad. So all of these are different colors, not the same ink, and we have it pointing to the ocean.
Oh, okay, so basically.
So if you go,
This one? But all
so
of
it's,
them
yeah, it's
going?
so it's similar to that one, but instead of like the red being, then you go into like the horizontal lines, it just continues with the triangles.
That headed east.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so there's going to be some colors with more, some colors with less. I hope everyone understands no color is better than the other.
Mayor, so my first thought was, not that I'm opposed to your idea, but just a side thought is, if we have it all pointed in a direction like that, would that suggest that somehow it's a one-way street because it's like an arrow and it's pointing in only one direction? I just want to make sure that it doesn't get misinterpreted in that way. If we're drawing like giant arrows.
I don't think it would be misinterpreted.
Okay.
Because there's no signs on the streets saying one way, or it's a four-way intersection, and that way we can have our delineated crosswalks, hopefully with the ladder pattern, so that it is fully identified, and that's what if we can move forward with that on that concept.
Mayor, I think a good compromise would be the third option, the flag without the crosswalks. It's also clean and it has the arrows pointing towards the ocean.
Go back. So yeah.
If we have that oriented, it's pointing towards the ocean.
Yep.
And it is not busy, as Commissioner Katz was concerned about.
So
and this is a smaller intersection, Mayor. Keep in mind, like when we look at the ones with the crosswalks, the first one in a large intersection, that would be really impactful. The small intersection maybe not look as good. So I think you're onto something about being probably a little bit simpler. First and Ocean isn't a huge intersection.
So yeah, and if we just continue, I'm a little called red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, as part of going from white, gray, pink, brown, black.
So like chevrons all the way, I think, is that the right word? The whole thing,
So
chevron layered. Yeah.
And so I know that we're going to get to a point where like the purple is just going to have a little bit on the edge because of the way that design is.
May I interject? Sorry.
Yes.
Just to say, I mean, one of the reasons that we did discuss this is because this is the new flag. So we were trying to preserve that image because people within all those communities recognize this particular new flag for their community. So that was one of the reasons we were trying to preserve that shape. But it's not essential.
Thank you for that, Glenn. I would say that preservation of the meaning is essential. So I'm in favor of artistic freedom, but not to the loss of the message.
So I think hopefully to kind of land this plane here, I would go with option 3. I would orient it with the arrow facing east, and I would add white borders to the outside. I think that would clean it up and make it just look all nice and all together. And it will maintain the flag as it's meant to be portrayed, and keep it clean. Would everybody agree with that?
Yes. Mayor, I've just been informed that Rand Hope, president of the, is online.
Oh, you would like to make some comments?
Yes, I
All
just
right.
got word of it.
Did he raise his hand?
Apparently, from what I've been told.
He has, he's self-muted, Mayor.
Okay. No. All right. Rand?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. No, I think you just resolved the issue that I had by using the flag itself the way that it is. That is an actual depiction of the progress flag. So if you have it with the chevrons in the newer colors and then the horizontal or vertical stripe in the traditional colors, that would be perfect. The flag without crosswalk has significance to the LGBTQ community.
And then, could we, all right, is that what we want to do is item number 3?
And put a white border on it to trim it out?
Yes.
Is that acceptable? Okay.
I remember to turn it east with the arrows.
Yep,
facing
that's.
east.
And that's facing east in the picture.
Okay.
And just add the white trim.
Thank you.
Horizontal, that's ocean? That's ocean.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, so it's east. Got it. Thank you.
Can I get a clarification, since I'm going to be the one kind of directing this? Make sure the white only goes on the streets, right? You don't need the white around the curbs, the radius curbs.
No,
Yeah, just
Okay.
on the streets.
Mayor, I would suggest
where the crosswalk starts, I think, is where we'll have the white line for all of this, because you have the other white line is where the cars are supposed to stop.
Mayor, if you don't mind, what I would suggest is that we have Glenn mock up this version and we can send it back out to you so that you can at least get one last look at it individually.
Okay, and if we.
That way you can comment individually.
And so we have, do we need it's what I say is I like to have a motion to approve with concept, and that we would need consensus, individual consensus after the mock-up.
Yes. Motion to approve the flag design without crosswalk, option 3 in the proposal.
Second.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, hearing none, motion passes unanimously. All right. Moving on to Vice Mayor discussion, Commissioner Romulus.
Yes, Mayor, I wanted to bring this up just so that we can just clarify this and make sure that it's resolved for future commissions moving forward. I feel like this isn't a topic that's come up in the past, and it seems that I thought we resolved it, but it seems that we didn't. So I would like to have this brought back before us, the ordinance that this is stated in, for it to be set clearly for the record that every year at March, the vice mayor role should be relinquished and passed on as, I think as we intend for it to be. And for years that we have a bi-year where there's no election, that there should still be an item put on the agenda to pass on the vice mayor role, as it should be a yearly redesignation. That is what I wanted to bring up for discussion and also consideration of the commission tonight.
No, I remember speaking with staff about this because I thought we did that.
I thought so too.
And I remember when we had Vice Mayor Katz for maybe a couple hours reapply because we did pass this ordinance. And then Vice Mayor Pensurga took over once he got elected for the special election.
Mayor, I just sent all of you the ordinance, the current ordinance, so you have it for reference if you want to pull it up now for any discussion. I just sent the Jim's memo, the infamous memo, plus the existing ordinance. See if you have that, and then.
Mayor, is this an ordinance or is this in the city charter?
It might be for Jim.
Ordinance
on that one.
2008, 2005.
I have to look it up.
Charter provisions.
Mayor, there is both a ordinance provision and a provision of the charter. The memo that I wrote back in 2015 address the conflict between the two. And I would point out that the memo concludes with this statement: unless interpreted or applied differently by the commission, the foregoing charter provision does not require or provide for annual designation of the vice mayor. So this returns to an issue. There's really no amendment to the ordinance that's necessary. It's a matter for the city commission to decide how to interpret and apply the provisions of the ordinance, and essentially determine that they do not it does not conflict with the charter provision. The memo was open-ended and left it to the commission's discretion how to resolve the conflict, which the commission has the right to do in interpreting and applying the language of both its ordinances and its charter when there's a conflict.
I mean, so Jim, the quick question is that if the commission wants to nominate a new vice mayor and the current vice mayor, or do we have that ability?
Yes, Mayor, you do, so long as you first resolve the conflict between the charter and the ordinance. And that's as simple as, you know, a statement to resolve the conflict and apply the provisions of the ordinance on an annual basis.
Should I make a motion to do that then? I think I'd like clarity on this moving forward.
So yeah, so you're saying that a motion by one of the commissioners can clarify the ordinance that we were following a new vice mayor every year?
Yes, Mayor, that's correct.
All right, would someone like to make that motion?
So moved, and I'd like to set that date to be March of each year, which would correspond with our election cycles. Actually, no, but our elections usually happen on the second Tuesday of March, so then it would be, what's the meeting that they get installed? The new elected official would get installed. Would it be the second meeting in March or the first meeting in April?
The situation that you have is that if there's a runoff, you will have elected.
So then first meeting in April then.
Verification period. The easiest thing to do is to say the second meeting in April, because that way you know for sure who the elected officials are, and it's not their first meeting.
That, Mayor, that would take an amendment to the ordinance. The ordinance anticipates a possible delay in the certification of the election. If you look at section 2-1.2, it says at the second regular commission meeting following the swearing in of newly elected officers. So the ordinance built in a time delay, anticipating that, and also separated the decision from one meeting to two meetings, the second regular meeting following the swearing of the newly elected officials, to give the commission time to digest what the new configuration of the commission was and act accordingly.
So I guess it's very confusing, because we're saying that the vice mayor has a period of 1 year, but we don't set the language what happens when there is no, you know, for our off year of election.
Right.
So, and that's the
Right.
the aspect we need to change, either the charter or our ordinance.
No, the motion, I think, goes to the issue of allowing the ordinance to be used to interpret the charter to mean that it would occur annually, notwithstanding the fact that there is an election or not an election.
Okay.
And so my motion is, you know, that we would do it on an annual basis. Jim, I would defer to you for, I guess, the proper timing for those off years then.
So
the proper timing is set forth in the ordinance, and it says the second regular meeting following the swearing in of newly elected officers. So that probably will be in April.
So the question is that so when did Vice Mayor Pensurga term start? So we follow that with 1 year.
I would assume it would be April then.
So the question is that did we not follow through with our requirement to have a vice mayor for 1 year? For a 1 year term without renewing that 1 year term?
if I just make a motion to appoint a new vice mayor, is that sufficient?
Well, it's not, I mean, it would be, but I'm saying this does not solve the long-term problem. I want to solve the long-term problem. That way this isn't a continuous conversation for subsequent commission. So if we could just bring some clarity to the ordinance, I think that will help put just wrap this up.
Okay.
So actually,
Question to Jim. If Jim, if you have just one runoff, one person runner, and there's a runoff, then it's April. But if you don't have that situation, it will be March. So could we just set it for the second, when they're sworn in on the second meeting in March, and then have an exception clause for runoff?
You already have that if you look at the memorandum, which quotes the ordinance. And let me just read this. At the second regular city commission meeting following the swearing in of newly elected officers. So that would mean if there, let's just say for the sake of argument, there's two vacancies, there's an election, there's not a runoff in one, but there is a runoff in the other. The appointment of the vice mayor would come 2 meetings after the resolution of the runoff.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Just think of a fully seated new commission makes the decision.
So the way that I read the charter is that in the event of a vacancy in the office of vice mayor, the vacancy on the city commission shall be filled by the commission. And the vacancy should have happened after 1 year of the vice mayor, because that's what it says. The vice mayor of the city shall serve in such capacity for a period of 1 year. So every year after the vice mayor has served, there should be a vacancy. And the way a new elected vice mayor is elected is based upon the first regular special meeting at the city commission meeting following an election. So since we didn't have one, the term of the vice mayor should have expired after 1 year, and that we have a vacancy. But that's my interpretation.
So I would say putting all of that together, I think the safe bet here is to put it for, or set the date for the first meeting in April, because regardless of election or non-election, I think it would still.
We would have to change the charter, because that's what the charter says.
Jim?
No, Mayor, you'd have to amend the ordinance. The ordinance makes reference to it, not the charter. The charter is very clear that it says at the first regular or special meeting of the city commission immediately following an election.
So I think if we set it for April, that clears all that up, because our elections are always in March.
All right.
And to change the charter, you have to have a referendum.
Right.
So it's easier. It's easier to marry the two provisions of the code and the charter, and your interpretation, which the commission has the power and authority to interpret its code and charter, is to apply the provisions of the code to the charter language. So you would end up with the reappointment or appointment of a vice mayor every year following an election, right?
Yes. So Jim, can you just help me with the language of the motion here? And I'll
Sure.
make it.
The motion would be to resolve any conflict between the city code of ordinances and the city charter regarding the appointment of the vice mayor, such that a new vice mayor is reappointed or appointed on an annual basis.
So moved.
And I would second that.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to legal expenses for March 2021. And we're moving on to future agenda items. We have a discussion to dissolve the Quantum Park Overlay Development District. We have a discussion regarding new facilities. And that is more of guidance, is so that the city can provide guidance to staff of what we would want to see with the city facilities.
And the process.
And the process to see if we're hiring a vendor and the RFP process, or what kind of process are we looking to do?
How does one utilize these spaces? What are the fee schedules?
Yeah, no, it's also
And
the
that's-
sense of, is that, are we hiring a management company to oversee the aspects of the amphitheater rather than city staff, doing that? So that there's a lot of items I think we need to have that discussion, because you look at what Old School Square is doing, that we have similar facilities that are not being used. Yes, Lori.
Mayor, so with the addition of the Women's Club and the newly built Arts and Cultural Center and the amphitheater and all that space, staff is working now on fee structures, which need to come back to you because those are new fees. We do have, we set fees by resolution for all of our facilities. They're all programmed. We have use reservation policies on every city facility we have. We are now working on and finalizing that new policy for the Arts and Cultural Center, which we would be bringing forward to you. We're just not ready yet, with the fee, recommended fees. Same thing, amphitheater policy and the Women's Club. So, you're jumping a little bit ahead of our schedule of actually completing that work, but that is the intent. I would say we probably need 30 days, if I may have, maybe the second meeting in June. I think we're pretty close to almost final drafts. So with the exception of the amphitheater, that's being finalized now. So I think we'd be ready maybe the second meeting in June to bring all that to you, which we need to do anyhow. And it will answer those questions of how to reserve, what you charge, what your insurance requirements are, what can and can't be. Right now, I know staff is not contemplating utilizing a management company for the amphitheater space. So that's something I guess we just right now, no, that isn't something we've actually contemplated. So I'll talk to Eleanor and we could perhaps talk about that a little bit more too.
What I'd like to see, and I'll ask the commission, is that we want to see where the city is now with the drafts. I'd like to see it on the first meeting, so that hopefully we can finalize it for the second meeting in June to start using this facilities. Because
they're being used. They're being used, and we're.
How are they being used by the public?
Yeah, well, we have. I think we've had like the youth group, and Casey may have to come on. I think we've had like the youth concert group using the art center. We have some dance classes and things like that, and I think we're utilizing kind of the fees for those off some of our other facilities until we finalize the full document. And we're working on sound attenuation too. One of the restrictions, and I think we'll have that done in the next 30 days, is to be able to utilize the gymnasium in the old high school. As you experienced with Kinetic, it's extremely noisy. So we just finalized our quotes and we'll begin the work on installing some sound attenuation. So that's kind of held events at bay, but we are now programming for events for late June. So yes, you're right. I probably have to I'm gonna try to get this to you June 1, because Chamber of Commerce wants to do their food and wine festival at the Arts and Cultural Center on June 25. Citrus Cove, I think, wants to do a play in mid-June, which we're programming. So I'll get it to you by June 1. I just realized we're going to have to.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, are we including a clause or a waiver in these policies for COVID-related situations? I mean, that's the new world that we're in now. Is that something that's in there?
I do not believe so at this juncture, but I have not seen the actual working drafts yet. Staff's got them. We'll probably need to discuss that with legal, and moving forward, how do we want to address that? I can't answer that fully just yet.
I mean, what I would ideally like to see is just that, there is a liability waiver portion that, releases the city of any, liability if for whatever reason it would be linked that an event had, a COVID breakout or something like that, it would be on the parties that, hosted the event, not us. We simply provided the venue.
I think the
And
state,
Casey just texted me, we do have a COVID waiver.
and I think the state's already preempted that as well. But it's, we are the owners of the property, owners of the facility, so it's having enough insurance of any of the vendors to be there. And so that may be a little bit higher than some of our other facilities because of the capability and the large numbers that may gather.
So we'll bring one way or another, Mayor, as best as we can to get to the final finish line on these policies for these 3 facilities to you on June 1. And then whatever finishing touches we need to put on, we'll get immediately thereafter based on your input.
Thank you.
Okay.
And also, when are we going to hear back from the cafe RFPs and the innovation space?
I know there was an extension. I need to ask David to weigh in on that. I think.
Is that also going to be beginning of June?
June.
Yeah. Okay.
David here? Yeah. Within the next 2 meetings.
Okay.
For the award or the announcement of the successful proposer.
And I see that monuments got pushed back again from April to June, now June till July. Are you, what's the situation regarding that? Can we see what the city has done in June, where they are with the draft?
Yeah, I think Jim has drafted, we do have a working draft of that, so we can bring that forward.
Thank you. And if you could send it to me so I can see it, that'd be wonderful.
Jim, I'll ask you to shoot that out if you would.
I'll send it to everybody.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, ready? Motion to adjourn.
Second. All right. Yuri, I forgot to do the opening, and now we're at the closing.
All right. Do you want me to do this, the exit?
You might as well just do the closing.
Yep. All righty. As a reminder, a recorded version of the session will be posted to the City of Boynton Beach's YouTube channel. Links to that channel are available on the City of Boynton Beach's website at boynton-beach.org. This concludes today's meeting. On behalf of Mayor Grant and all of our elected officials, the city manager, and city staff, thank you for attending today's City of Boynton Beach Commission meeting. Be safe and have a great night.
Thank you. It is adjourned.
Good night, everybody.